Hello, everyone. On August 9th, we are going to have an Aquarius full moon. And it means that we have a watery planet, the moon, in an air sign. And all those who have the moon in an air sign know that it's a very fascinating placement simply because feeling and thinking are mutually exclusive psychological modes. And what you usually are able to do is that you can look at an emotional situation from a very unemotional viewpoint, which is very, very strange. I have a Libra moon, so I know what I'm talking about. It gives you the strength to be unemotional, but at the same time, it's not the best placement, of course, for a watery planet, especially not the moon, which is your spiritual essence. Now, let's take a look at this chart, which is uh, going to be exact. I mean, the full moon itself is going to be exact at 9 o'clock, almost 8:55 a.m. London time. And I gave the title, Shall We Be Smart and Forget About Emotions? And it's not just because the moon is in Aquarius, the least emotional of the signs. I'm You probably also have, I have a couple of people who around me who are Aquarian or have very strong Aquarian placements. Among them, one of my best friends who is a Pisces sun, Pisces Mercury, Pisces sun, but she has 4 planets in Aquarius and some asteroids, and she's very, very pragmatic. At the same time, all her lives, during her lives, the emotion and thinking processes were clashing. So that's what happens when you have a watery moon in an air sign. And anyhow, so not just because the moon is in an air sign, especially in Aquarius, but also because the moon is conjunct Pallas Athena, the wise girl. If you take a look at the full moon chart for London, and if you live elsewhere, you need to relocate it, of course, and see what crops up. But what is really strong in this chart are the conjunctions. And whenever you see conjunctions, especially triple conjunctions like here, you have the ability for those 2 planets to work together. Whenever I teach and we come to conjunctions, I always say that this is a unison where the 2 planets must learn to work together, even if they don't really like each other. It's a very fascinating thing because it's if we could say that this would be the best in politics and in any kind of human intercourse, that if you want to be together with someone, if you want to work together, if you want to cooperate, the best thing would be to understand the other person and not enter into some sort of antagonism. That would be the key for human discourse. Unfortunately, this is not what we do, and especially not in this space-time moment. Humankind is kind of rushing towards this third world war. And I must warn you that a world war never actually was announced. It's not like, okay, the First World War commenced, blah, blah, blah. No, actually, the First World War was called the Great War until the Second World War. And when the Second World War started, it also started with 2 nation-states fighting with each other, and then more and more participants entered the picture, and all of a sudden we had a full-blown World War II. And this is the case now. If you look how many places have antagonistic attitudes and how the whole war rhetoric escalates. And it's really scary in many ways. And I just hope that you guys will be smart enough to elect leaders in your own countries who are willing to push this whole agenda behind. We have a Virgo rising in the London chart with the South Node conjunct Dark Moon Lilith. I do have at least 5 videos, both in Hungarian and in English, on the astrological Liliths. Dark Moon practically means the acceptance of the curse. It does not mean that you're cursing someone. And please don't try to curse anyone, because the problem is that black magicians and politicians may go ahead and curse anyone because they have no conscience. But we, the ordinary people, we have conscience. And the problem is that the moment you curse someone, the moment you want someone to happen something horrible, your conscience, your normal human conscience sets in. and you start feeling sorry. And the moment you start feeling sorry, that is when the curse is turning backwards and hitting you. So don't curse anyone. It's not really, it doesn't do to curse anyone. So, but here, the black moon Lilith doesn't mean cursing someone. It means an attitude. I know what to do. I am willing to do it. I have the strength. I also have the knowledge, and I have the determination to do what is necessary. And I will do it even if you curse me or anyone curses me for it. So that is the attitude, the acceptance of the curse. And it's on the South Node, which denotes our the sum total of our knowledge, karmic knowledge. It's on the ascendant, so that is what is rising. On the descendant is our karmic task, the chosen destiny. Saturn, Neptune is still very strong, but they are retrograding now. Saturn is soon going back into Pisces. I think Neptune as well. Not yet, but it will make a brief couple of months little excursion back into its own sign, so that afterwards it will lead it for good for another 160 years or so. And then Chiron Aries is still there. I'm not going to talk about Chiron Aries for a while because I have a number of videos about it. You can go and look it back. When it's going to be exact, then I will make a video, of course, again. And then Uranus Sedna is this year's second most important karmic astrological issue. The Uranus is change, and of course, all kinds of chaos, anarchy, and freedom urges. And Sedna denotes creation through dissection. And Sedna is a very long orbital, a TNO with a very long orbital period. Actually, it's an ETNO, an extreme TNO. And the name Sedna is also utilized by labeling these extreme TNOs as sednoids, who have a couple of thousand years orbital period. And Sedna has a very shocking mythology. It's an Inuit mythology. You can go and Google it. I'm not going to tell it to you. Only that in karmic astrology, it denotes the ability to look at your own life or anything, find the non-working segments or issues, throw it out, and then create something new out of the remaining pieces and bits. And that is Sedna, and this is what we need to do at the moment. And there's a Venus-Jupiter conjunction, which is going to be exact in 3 days, but it's applying, so it's quite strong. Venus in Cancer is not very happy because she is ruled by the moon, and the moon and Venus are mutually exclusive feminine archetypes because the moon is the mother and Venus is the lover. So they are not really functioning well together. And Jupiter at the same time is very strong because it's exalted in Cancer. So, and both are ruled by the full moon. And this is a triple conjunction: Juno, the first lady; Vesta, the focusing principle and the high priestess; and Black Moon Lilith, which is the third turning point of the Lilith myth, denoting the knowledge that I know what to do and going back to an abandoned place and doing what's right. So Black Moon Lilith denotes the ability to rectify something, and for this you need clairvoyance and also courage and determination, and that is what Black Moon is. And this particular full moon has a fixed T-square at the apex of which these two archetypes are actually there. Let's take a look at what it is. So there's a complex planetary picture around 15, 16 degrees of so in the middle of the signs. And this is the T-square, the fixed T-square I was talking about. Vesta, the high priestess and the focusing principle, tells us to focus on issues which need clairvoyance, insight, knowledge. If you only read legacy media and you don't use your head and you don't know history, have you ever wondered why they no longer teach history in Western countries? Because they don't want you to be smart. They don't want you to be to understand what's going on, because you can always learn from history, because history repeats itself. So you need knowledge, you need determination, and you also need the strength and stamina to do something that only you can do. That's the key. And that is at the apex of this particular full moon, with the moon moon Pallas Athena conjunction is a very cerebral, conscious full moon. And actually, of course, the sun is in Leo, so it's quite strong still. The strongest new moon is always a Leo new moon, and the strongest full moon actually is the Cancer full moon. In this time, of course, here the moon is not very happy, as I said, but what can we do? There's also a fixed fire engine, which is kind of dissolving this T-square with Ceres. The Sun Ceres trine is a fire trine. Fire is the element of transformation. And so that this engine is really helping us to dissolve the tension. And there's also a karmic trapeze, which is actually two engines turned into one. Trapezes always provide a stage where you can step onto and tell what you know. The base of this karmic trapeze is a trine between Jupiter and Vesta, and Jupiter and Black Moon. So that's a water trine, emotions. The inside of the trapeze are two quincunxes, out of which the Pallas Athena Jupiter quincunx is bidirectional, so it works as a trine. The others are monodirectional, so they work sometimes as a trine and sometimes as a square or an opposition, quite disrupting. The sides are fixed and also cardinal square, so there is difficulty getting to the top of the stage, but the stage is sextile, so you can actually perform anything that is important to your family, your well-being, your home, your nation, and whatever is getting you smarter and knowledgeable, and probably also wise. Here are the transcendental celestial objects, quite a few. On the Sun, you have Titania, which is an asteroid linked to Atlantean times. Shiva with W, which is the Slavonic love goddess. Ishtar, which is the Mesopotamian love goddess. Pythagoras, the father of numerology and also a philosopher and a mathematician. Ascalaphus, who is the gardener of the underworld, and he was the one who gave Persephone a couple of pomegranate seeds so that she couldn't starve. But of course, Demeter, the mother, lashed out and punished him. So, one good deed deserves some punishment. This is the archetype. And Charis, which is grace. And we do have two grace energies in this particular chart. The other one is going to be in a different configuration. The moon has Ginevra, the wife, the first lady archetype, and Sualcin, the alpha star of dolphin, which is the main healing word for Atlantean karma. So quite interesting. The reason for so many Atlantean asteroids now cropping up, and also the dolphin constellation, is because we are at the brink of destroying our Earth the same way we did, which was different because when Atlantis disappeared, that was very different. We gave a wrong answer to a very valid question, but it wasn't like now that we kind of deliberately want to destroy something. Jupiter has Demeter, he is the mother, and Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky, Alpha Canis Major. You will be able to observe Sirius in the northern hemisphere in the winter period. November, December, January, February are the best ways to see it. It's if you look up the sky and you see Orion, it is to the southeastern portion of Orion, down to the south and east. That is where Sirius is located. And on Pallas Athena, you have Virtus. And on Vesta Black Moon conjunction, you have Metis, the goddess of wisdom. Actually, she is the mother of Pallas Athena, quite interestingly. Now they are actually clashing. Merlin, the sorceress, the magician. Narcissus, self-love. And Nagasaki, complete destruction. And if you look at the leaders, your very own British leader, Starmer, or the European leaders, the idiots, or anywhere really, you will find that these four archetypes describe them. Metis, they think they are very smart. Merlin, they enter into all kinds of magical ways. Narcissus, they love themselves, and Nagasaki, they kind of plan or create complete destruction. Luckily, there's a Mama Manavareza, which is a Zulu fertility goddess who is ruling actually nature, all kinds of brilliance in nature, the rain, crops, the rainbow, and everything that makes nature beautiful. That is the dissolving, redeeming factor in this. And then Zulban Genovi, which is the alpha star of Libra. And if you look at the Libra, the two scales of the celestial um, uh, what is it? Libra. Anyhow, so you know the scales of the okay, I don't remember the word in English. Sorry. Anyhow, you know what it is. Probably just look at it. And these are linked. Zuben El Genovi and Zuben El Shamali, the beta star, are linked to balance, to create balance, social balance. And Zuben El Genovi is always helping you towards positive reforms. So that's also another issue of saving grace here in the chart. There's also a fire air kite. And Mars, as Mars entered Libra, it is immediately opposite. It became immediately opposite with Saturn and Neptune, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is this year's main astrological feature, actually. And Saturn-Neptune is always about the architect aspect. It's always what you create on the physical plane, how you can download your dreams, Neptune, onto the physical plane, Saturn. And unfortunately, this happens only every 40, 45 years. And whenever it occurs, mankind is creating something. Now, in Aries, mankind seems to be creating another big major war, unfortunately. And then Mars, which is in its detriment, but ruling these two, is the diplomat. So that is quite interesting. At the same time, the opposition is always clashing. And Saturn, Mars is about the will is clashing with obstacles. As a result, you usually have some kind of accident, unfortunately. And Saturn, Neptune, as I said, is the architect, but Mars Neptune is always the Grail Knight. But of course, in the opposition describes Don Quixote. So when you are fighting against something that is non-existent, but it's usually the knight in shining armor. With the opposition, we don't actually know what we are fighting for or against. Mars Uranus at the same time is the aspect of free will. Whenever you have a good Mars Uranus, you do have free will, actually more than the average person. And Mars Sedna gives you the energy to recreate your own life by actually getting rid of the non-working segments. And then, of course, Pluto Mars is quite strong because Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. Mars is direct fighting and direct exercise of the will, and Pluto is manipulation or the unseen power. But now they are in a trine, actually in an air trine. Kites are very powerful configurations because in itself the grand trine never does anything because you don't have energy in it because the participating planets are in the same element, so it's not moving anywhere. But whenever you have a kite, you have the opposite energy, and that it helps you move the whole thing. So that's a very beneficial thing. And there are quite a few transcendental celestial objects as well. On Mars, you have Tyros, a centaur, which is hunting bears and takes them into his cave. Doesn't kill them, but tries to tame them. And Teros in the chart, if it's prominent, describes the willingness, the ability, or the karmic wound around how to tame your instinctual efforts, your instinctual processes. The supergalactic center is one of the key celestial areas in karmic astrology, and it denotes karmic, all key celestial areas, these so-called galactic points describe karmic dilemmas, and supergalactic center describes that nothing is ever enough. I just heard a couple of days ago that NATO agreed to purchase $10 billion worth of weapons from the USA to give it to Ukraine. So the war will continue. Another 100,000, perhaps more, young men will die or maimed. And no one sees the end of this, and it's ridiculous. Saturn Neptune has Boras Sisi, the tyrant as centaur, and then I have Kaitos, which is the beta star of the constellation Vea, Saturn, and which is actually at the liminal space of the zodiac. And whenever any of these stars are prominent, it describes the subconscious emerging to the world, emerging, becoming conscious. On Uranus Sedna, you have Cerberus, who is the guardian dog, the three-headed guardian dog of the underworld, wisdom. And Grazia, he is the second grace asteroid. So we both have them and in the chart, which means that we do have really blessings and grace in this particular moment, which seems to be quite harsh, but at the same time, there are these redeeming factors. And the Pleiades, which is the tiniest of the constellations, and it is the home of the creator goddess. So we do have the blessing of the creator goddess. Uranus is there only once every 84 years. Think about it. And Sedna has been there and will be there for another couple of months. It has been there for 2 years now. And on Pluto, we have Altair, which is the Alpha Aquila, and it is a shaman star. And if we take a look at these two configurations, which are at the very beginning and at the middle of the signs, actually they create one complete, very complex planetary picture, which have the same axis, so to speak, because if you take a look at the kite, the axis is the Mars, Saturn, and Mars Neptune opposition. And we also have a Taurus kite. I'm sure you know the Taurus hammer, which is a square and two semi-square, quadrates. And when we do have an opposition, we have also semi-squares as well. So we have like 5 harsh aspects forming a Taurus kite. It is on the same axis as the grand trine and the grand trine. So that's quite revealing. And there's also a 10th quadrangle with 2 oppositions and semi-squares and sesquiquadrates. Now, this particular sesquiquadrate and semi-square is quite beneficial at the same time. It does have tension, of course, but look at the semi-square between Mars and the Sun, which is in sextile energies. The Mars is in Libra, an air sign, and the Sun is in Aries. In Leo and fire sign, and the sesquiquadrate between Saturn, the Sun, and Neptune, the Sun, is also in the fire signs. So actually, there is again a redeeming factor as well. So these are put together, and the main thing here is really the Sun Moon opposition and the Mars Saturn and Mars Neptune opposition. So this is the energy pattern of the Aquarius full moon. Happy full moon, and thank you for listening. Bye bye.